Oh my god, hey! Welcome back to my kingdom of stagey isolation. If you are seeing my face for the first time, my name is Mickey Joe and I am obsessed with all things theatre. I am also gay. Not that it matters, but it pays to advertise. February is LGBT History Month here in the UK. Earlier in the month, I talked about all of the different plays and musicals you might like if you enjoyed the amazing groundbreaking series It's a Sin. I also promised some more LGBT history content later in the month, thinking, oh yeah, that'll be really easy, I can make loads of videos on that. Turns out, no. It's such a big topic and a big concept, especially within the theatre world, where gay people have always been disproportionately well represented in comparison to Hollywood, in comparison to TV. There's a very proud history of the LGBT community helping to create a lot of theatre, helping to perform a lot of theatre, helping to choreograph and costume design. Not to generalise, but you know, we have our skills. And as I was looking into all of this and sort of rediscovering shows that I already knew about, I was reminded that queer men, and gay men specifically, are quite well represented in musical theatre. Not as well represented as straight men, they're everywhere. But queer women are a lot harder to find in musical theatre. There's almost none of them.
They're my lesbians.
And in the few examples of shows that do feature queer women, they usually feature queer men as well. So they're just featuring multiple LGBT characters rather than specifically going out of their way to create a queer female character. So what I wanted to do with today's video is I wanted to shed some light on just how disproportionate it actually is and talk a little bit about why we think that might be and the impact that that has on queer female musical theatre fans who may be watching this video. Hello if you are. Lovely to meet you. Queer women, we can't live without them. So why aren't there more musicals about them? So I want to start literally by just reading off a list of the musicals that feature usually specifically gay male characters. I've just put this under queer male characters. Avenue Q, they're puppets, but it still counts. Bear, The Book of Mormon, Cabaret, La Cage aux Folles, A Chorus Line, Come From Away. Historically, lots of queer actresses in the original Broadway cast of Come From Away, but not a lot of representation in the characters on stage. That we know of. We don't necessarily find out all of the characters' sexualities in Come From Away. Everybody's talking about Jamie, From Here to Eternity, The Full Monty, Kinky Boots, Priscilla Queen of the Desert, A Man of No Importance. Mean Girls does not have any overtly queer female characters. It's implied. It's not overt, it's not canonically stated. Soho Cinders, Roadshow, The Rocky Horror Show. Lots going on in The Rocky Horror Show, but still no queer women. Spring Awakening, Victor Victoria, The Boy from Oz, The Kiss of the Spider Woman. All of these featuring gay male characters or queer male characters in some context, but no queer women. So here are the shows that do feature queer women for comparison. Falsettos has a lesbian couple, but they are very much secondary supporting characters to the plot that is about two gay men. Fun Home is a very important and beautiful show based on an autobiographical comic by Alison Bechdel about her experience of growing up discovering that she was gay, but a lot of the main plot is about her later in life discovering that her father was a homosexual. So even this amazing coming of age musical about a lesbian experience is sort of driven by a plot about a gay male experience. But it is also autobiographical, and that's how that happened, so there's no writing it differently. If Then is a musical that features a lesbian couple, it also features queer male characters. The Producers. So The Producers features named gay male characters who contribute to the plot. It's worth saying these are flamboyant homosexual caricatures of characters. At one point, Roger Debris introduces his entire creative team with choreographers and costume designers, and his set designer, Shirley Markowitz, who is a lesbian, who is an upsetting caricature of a lesbian.
Shirley Markowitz. Keep it gay, keep it gay, keep it gay.
And it's worth saying that all the gay men are caricatured just as crudely, but it is still upsetting when there's so little representation of lesbian characters in musical theatre that this exists as a concept. It's such an awful joke. I honestly hate it. So that just about sneaks into the category of featuring both queer male and queer female characters, even if, you know, like 2 seconds of stage time for the lesbian character and just a horrible depiction. Rent, of course, features a gay male relationship. It also features a lesbian relationship. Whether Maureen is canonically bisexual or a lesbian is debated a lot. I think Jonathan Larson always said that she was a lesbian even though she had dated Mark. It's worth saying if she is bisexual, she is not great representation for that because her whole mantra is just everyone wants to sleep with me and that's not my fault. Which, if nothing else, is a mood. The Prom is the other one, as well as Fun Home, that is well known for lesbian representation. It features a lesbian couple who want to go to prom, and there's various hoopla about that. I'm using the word hoopla a lot today. Hoopla! This is another one that features a lesbian couple but also features a gay male character, and when the marketing came out for the Netflix movie, it focused a lot more, possibly because of the casting, but on James Corden as this gay male character, and Meryl Streep, and Andrew Rannells, and Nicole Kidman, and the other people. Well, there wasn't a big focus on the narrative of these two girls in a relationship. And I felt that during the Netflix adaptation as well, that theirs was not the driving plot. It was more about the actors coming in from Broadway, helping them and discovering things by doing so. The Wild Party features some small LGBT supporting role characters. There's a lesbian character, she has a song. It's a strange song that she ends by like yelling a slur. So, you know, that's fun. She's like an aggressively predatory character as well. So again, not fantastic representation. The other one I thought of is The View Upstairs, which is a beautiful show about, I think there's like 8 gay men and there's one lesbian, and she works behind the bar and just like serves them all. And the power dynamic there is very indicative of the role of queer women in Broadway musicals. Now, here are the ones that feature queer women and not queer men. The Colour Purple and Head Over Heels. And Head Over Heels, I haven't seen this the whole way through. From what I can tell from plot synopsises, from what I've read, there aren't any overtly queer male characters. There's a lot of gender non-conformity, there's a non-binary character, and there's a lesbian couple. There's not really many straight people in that show, which I am all for. If anything, there are too many straight characters on Broadway. I said it, I'm not taking it back. But as far as I know, Colour Purple, Head Over Heels. These are the only shows I can think of that have lesbian characters, queer female characters, and not queer male characters alongside them, or they're not in the shadow of queer male characters. I have written down Jagged Little Pill. I know that there is a queer character in this. I do not know that character's gender identity. I don't know this show well enough. Someone let me know in the comment section. Educate me, please. Let me know what the deal is in Jagged Little Pill. Does it feature queer female characters, queer male characters? Is the character non-binary? Please let me know. But those are all of the mainstream musicals that I was able to think of in those categories. I'm sure there are smaller musicals, fringe musicals, that feature queer female characters. I don't know about the Star Kids stuff. As I've said, if you know about any other shows that have good representation of queer female characters, please let me know in the comment section. I would love to find out some more. So why do we think this is? Number 1, often these stories in either Broadway shows or films or television report on various historical events. Whether that was the historical persecution of gay people, people like Oscar Wilde, people like Alan Turing, gay men were disproportionately persecuted during those times because of a misogynistic double standard, and because women's place in society was so undervalued it barely mattered, or they didn't take it particularly seriously. Or the AIDS crisis, in which the vast majority of the victims were gay men. That isn't to say that queer women didn't play a role in the AIDS crisis, but in shows like Rent, in shows like Falsettos, and shows like The View Upstairs, it's reporting on, if not exactly true, then at least factual circumstances that were about gay men. In terms of openly queer female performers, I think we're seeing more and more all the time, which is really exciting, but certainly not on the same scale that you see gay men in theatre. I don't know why that is. I couldn't tell you. It's just a thing. So with shows like A Chorus Line, that was devised by a cast and based on their own personal life stories, you have multiple dancers in that room when they all met together for the first time who all have stories about growing up gay and how that affected them and how that affected their lives and their careers. And you don't have any queer women to offer the same perspective because they just weren't there. Then you have to look at the creative team. How many composers do we know? How many directors do we know? How many writers do we know? How many choreographers do we know? Oh my gosh. Which is great to see. It's great to see LGBT representation at a level where they have power and they can make these choices and they can tell these stories and it can be authentic. But it's disproportionately male, and that's something that I feel like we've come far enough that we now need to look at. Kathy says it in the last 5 years. When she walks in the room, there's a table of men. Always men. usually gay. So I think this goes some of the way as to answering the question of why we don't see nearly as much representation of queer women in stage musicals, and I think this really needs to change. I would love to see more queer women represented. It strikes me when I'm watching things like The Prom and I see two young girls singing a love song duet with each other, and I think, wow, this is something I've barely ever seen, and I want to see more of it. More lesbians in musical theatre, damn it. I'm very conscious of the fact as well that this is all just my perspective, and I don't want to talk about a queer female issue from a queer male perspective, so I have asked some of my friends who are queer women to voice their opinions on this and let you know what they think about different musicals and representation. Here is what they thought.
The first lesbian character I saw was unfortunately in The Producers, and it was that trope, extremely butch, unattractive, lesbian trope that is completely derogatory and irreverential of the valued butch members of the lesbian community. Part of me, with so little exposure to queer women, thought, is that how I have to be? Is that how people see me? A few years afterwards I saw Rent, and that changed my world.
I wasn't even questioning my sexuality at the time. I can vividly remember seeing Maureen and just wanting to be her.
And their whole story was not just about their sexuality, it was about their successful careers, their creativity, their confidence, their friendships, their relationship that was real and complex.
As much as I love Ren, and I do, I've got a bone to pick with it. Maureen, as I see it, obviously likes both sexes, whether she identifies as bi, pan, queer, wherever she wants to identify. I don't think she ever refers to herself as a lesbian. The minute she enters that relationship with Joanne, she is branded as a lesbian, and that's not the way it works. And as someone that is bi and sees this all the time, there's such a problem with bi erasure. I feel like she is just the stereotype that people see of bi women.
More recently, we have The Prom, which I got really excited about. To be able to sing explicitly about that, not having to change the gender and for the romantic interest in the song, it's just there. That was great. That was exciting for me.
It was so nice to have a queer female character as the lead. I was just over the moon until I realised that maybe she wasn't the lead. Why do we need another gay man to waltz in to make this storyline be enough?
It was just disappointing to be kind of sidelined.
I love their storyline. I love the fact that it's so compelling and it's so heartbreaking, but at the same time it's so heartwarming, and just seeing them navigate through life and school and parents. Why wasn't that enough?
And the ending I just found was a really unrealistic narrative. Just to have her go from completely being against it to complete acceptance, I found very unrealistic. I mean, great if that happens, but I haven't seen it.
Let's talk about the London production of Falsettos. I think the reason why I loved it is that I just fell in love with Charlotte and Cordelia. I could really for the first time see myself on stage. I'm called Charlotte, I'm a med student. It was like watching myself, and you know, she's having this fantastic grown-up relationship with another woman, and it just made me think that, you know, Lottie, the world isn't going to end. Why weren't they in the first act? They are such brilliant characters. I can't help but feel they are only there as a way into the AIDS storyline. You know, they arrive, she's a doctor, she's gay, but I love it, and I know it's about Marvin's storyline and it's not really about them. That happens so much. It's not really about them.
I would just like more overtly lesbian characters in mainstream shows. Mean Girls had such an opportunity with Janice Ian to make her overtly queer. You had to once again infer from context or be told, if you want to believe she's queer, you believe she's queer. No, I want to know. Matron Mama Morton, we've been inferring that one for years. I personally like to infer that Miss Honey is gay. She is exactly the kind of lesbian I would be. Lives in a cottage, loves kids. Brilliant. Hopefully the tide is turning and we will see more queer female characters and queer female actresses taking on the stage. That would be great. That would be great.
Thank you so much everyone who contributed to this video to share your perspective on this, and thank you at home for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to subscribe to my channel where there is plenty more stagey content of me talking about things like this, as well as things that are completely different. Something for every theatre fan to enjoy, I promise you that. If you think we need more characters representing queer women in musical theatre, feel free to share this video so we can establish more of a dialogue about this and get more people talking about it. I hope that everyone is staying safe and that you have a stagey day.
For 10 more seconds, I'm Mickey Joe Theatre. Oh my god, hey, thanks for watching, have a stagey day. Subscribe!